The galaxy trembled as the Imperial Remnant rose from the ashes of the Empire's fall, forging its shattered pieces into a force of domination. The New Republic, born from the rebellion's hard-won victories, underestimated the tenacity of its enemy. In the shadows of the Outer Rim, Imperial warlords coalesced under a singular vision, fueled by the belief that the galaxy was weaker without the Empire's iron grip. At the core of their ambition lay a secret plan to resurrect Emperor Palpatine on Byss, a plan that would tilt the balance of power in ways the galaxy had not witnessed since the height of the Sith. The Imperial Remnant operated with brutal efficiency, adopting guerrilla tactics and leveraging the remnants of its once vast fleet. Grand Admiral Thrawn's death had splintered their command, but it also allowed cunning leaders like Gilad Pellaeon to rise. Pellaeon, with his tactical brilliance and political acumen, became the de facto head of the Imperial Remnant. He understood that survival alone was insufficient. They needed a symbol, a leader who could command absolute loyalty and fear across the galaxy. They needed Palpatine. Byss, hidden deep within the galactic core and accessible only through a perilous series of hyperspace routes, was the perfect crucible for such an undertaking. Long before his death, Palpatine had anticipated his demise. Through Sith alchemy and the dark side, he had prepared contingencies, cloning facilities, arcane rituals, and the knowledge to transfer his essence into a new body. This secret was known to only a select few, his most trusted confidants and dark acolytes. As the New Republic expanded its influence, many believed the Empire's threat had ended. Yet whispers of resurgence echoed through the galactic underworld. These whispers reached the ears of Leia Organa Solo, who, now a Jedi Knight, felt disturbances in the Force shadows where there should have been light. Her brother, Luke Skywalker, sought to rebuild the Jedi Order, but the return of the Sith loomed, threatening to undermine everything they had fought for. The resurrection of Palpatine on Byss was no ordinary event. The Force rippled violently, creating a beacon that drew Darksiders and Imperial loyalists from every corner of the galaxy. The process was both grotesque and magnificent, requiring the sacrifice of entire populations to fuel the dark rituals. The cloning tanks on Byss produced vessels for Palpatine's essence, but many failed, unable to contain the immense power and malevolence of the Sith Lord. At last, a perfect clone emerged, and with it, the Emperor returned, more powerful and more wrathful than before. Palpatine's rebirth sent shockwaves across the galaxy. His voice, once thought silenced, now echoed through encrypted holonets, rallying the remnants of the Empire. He declared a new empire, one that would rise like a phoenix from the ashes, stronger and eternal. His command of the Force had only deepened, and with it, he demonstrated power that left even his most loyal followers in awe. The Emperor's return was not just a political shift, but a metaphysical one. Darkness spread across the galaxy, infecting systems like a plague. The New Republic found itself unprepared. Its bureaucracy, bloated and overconfident, failed to react swiftly. By the time they fully understood the threat, Palpatine had already consolidated power. Strategic strikes dismantled New Republic defenses, crippling their fleets and isolating key systems. Planets like Coruscant, the jewel of the core, fell swiftly. The Imperial Remnant, now a formidable force under Palpatine's command, employed superweapons like the Galaxy Gun, ensuring no system dared defy them. Luke Skywalker, sensing the gravity of the situation, ventured into the heart of darkness. He sought to understand how the Sith had manipulated life and death, hoping to uncover a weakness in Palpatine's plan. His journey led him to ancient Sith ruins and dangerous confrontations with dark side cults. Along the way, he encountered Mara Jade, the former Emperor's hand, whose allegiances were torn between her past and the future she desired. Palpatine, now seated on a throne of fear, unveiled his ultimate plan: the total subjugation of the galaxy under Sith rule. His vision extended beyond political control. He sought to remake the galaxy in the image of the dark side, extinguishing the light of the Jedi forever. To achieve this, he manipulated the Force on a galactic scale, creating a nexus of dark energy centered on Byss. Leia and Han Solo rallied the New Republic's scattered forces, forging uneasy alliances with former enemies and neutral factions. The galactic resistance grew, but it was clear that conventional warfare alone would not be enough to stop Palpatine. The Jedi Order, though still in its infancy, became the beacon of hope. Luke knew that the final confrontation would not be decided by fleets or armies, but by the Force itself. As battles raged across the stars, the galaxy witnessed horrors unseen since the Clone Wars. Entire systems were obliterated, their populations consumed in the dark rituals of the Sith. Palpatine's might was unparalleled, and for a time it seemed the galaxy would fall completely under his shadow. Yet hope persisted. Luke and Leia, drawing strength from their connection as siblings and their heritage as the children of Anakin Skywalker, prepared for the ultimate confrontation. They knew that to defeat Palpatine, they would need more than skill and power. They would need to embrace the full spectrum of the Force, balancing its light and dark aspects. As the galaxy teetered on the brink of eternal darkness, the stage was set for a clash that would determine its fate. Palpatine's return marked not just the revival of an old enemy, but the culmination of the Sith's grand design. The Jedi and the New Republic faced a near impossible challenge, yet the spark of rebellion burned brighter than ever. Would the light prevail, or would the galaxy succumb to the dark? Only time, and the choices of a few, would decide. The galaxy stood paralyzed as Palpatine's dark influence spread from Byss, his rebirth marking the resurgence of an empire more ruthless and cunning than before. The New Republic's fleets, stretched thin and riddled with complacency, struggled to respond effectively. The Emperor's grand strategy unfolded with terrifying precision. His military might, bolstered by advanced technology and Sith alchemy, overwhelmed New Republic defenses. But Palpatine knew that brute force alone wouldn't suffice. His true weapon was fear, and he wielded it masterfully. The Galaxy Gun, an awe-inspiring superweapon capable of annihilating planets from across the galaxy, became the centerpiece of Palpatine's strategy. Its mere existence paralyzed dissent, forcing entire star systems to capitulate without a fight. From the outer rim to the core worlds, the Emperor's message was clear: resist and face annihilation. In the shadow of this existential threat, resistance movements crumbled, and loyalty to the New Republic waned. Palpatine's dark influence permeated not only through his military campaigns but also through the Force itself. His mastery of Sith sorcery allowed him to manipulate the galaxy on a metaphysical level. By tapping into ancient Sith rituals, he amplified his power through dark side nexuses scattered across the galaxy. These nexuses, once dormant, became focal points of dark energy, further tilting the Force toward chaos and despair. Luke Skywalker, sensing the magnitude of the threat, realized that conventional Jedi methods would not suffice. The Jedi Order he sought to rebuild would need to adapt or face extinction. Accompanied by Mara Jade, who wrestled with her own dark past, as the Emperor's hand, Luke embarked on a perilous journey to uncover ancient Jedi and Sith knowledge. His quest led him to forgotten worlds steeped in the history of the Force, where he learned to harness its deeper mysteries. Despite the overwhelming odds, the spark of rebellion refused to die. Leia Organa Solo, now a Jedi Knight in her own right, emerged as a symbol of hope. Her leadership, both political and spiritual, united the fractured remnants of the New Republic. Alongside Han Solo and their loyal allies, Leia coordinated guerrilla strikes against Imperial targets, disrupting supply lines and weakening the enemy's grip on key systems. Each victory, though small, reignited the flame of resistance. On the front lines, the New Republic's military commanders devised bold strategies to counter the Empire's technological superiority. Admiral Akbar and Wedge Antilles led daring raids, leveraging their knowledge of Imperial tactics to exploit weaknesses. However, the resurgence of Palpatine's dark side warriors, Sith acolytes, inquisitors, and other Force-sensitive agents presented a new challenge. These dark warriors, empowered by the Emperor's will, proved formidable adversaries for even the most skilled Jedi. As the conflict escalated, Coruscant, the once thriving capital of the galaxy, fell into darkness. Imperial forces, bolstered by the return of their Emperor, retook the planet with brutal efficiency. The fall of Coruscant sent shockwaves across the galaxy, shattering the morale of the New Republic. Palpatine declared the planet the seat of his new empire, a dark reflection of its former glory. The citizens of Coruscant lived in fear, their hopes crushed under the weight of Imperial oppression. The Emperor's return also reignited the loyalty of Imperial remnants scattered across the galaxy. From warlords to rogue admirals, many flocked to Byss, pledging their allegiance to the resurrected Palpatine. The Imperial fleet swelled with new recruits and advanced warships, including the devastating world Devastators machines capable of consuming entire planets to fuel the Imperial war machine. These monstrous constructs laid waste to resource-rich worlds, further consolidating the Empire's power. Yet, amid the darkness, hope endured. Luke's journey brought him to the ancient world of Ossus, where he discovered the lost knowledge of the Jedi Order. There, he communed with the spirits of past Jedi, seeking guidance for the battles to come. The teachings of Yoda, Obi-Wan Kenobi, and even Anakin Skywalker echoed in his mind, strengthening his resolve. Luke understood that the key to defeating Palpatine lay not only in physical confrontation but in unifying the Force itself. Meanwhile, Leia faced her own trials. As a mother and a Jedi, she grappled with the weight of her responsibilities. Her children, destined for greatness, became symbols of hope for the galaxy's future. Leia's connection to the Force deepened, allowing her to sense the shifting tides of the conflict. She became a beacon of light, rallying the galaxy's disparate factions under a common cause. The final confrontation loomed. Palpatine, ever the strategist, prepared for an ultimate showdown on Byss. He fortified the planet with an armada of warships and legions of dark warriors, daring the New Republic to challenge his rule. The Emperor's overconfidence, however, proved to be a potential weakness. His belief in his invincibility blinded him to the resilience of the light. Luke and Leia, armed with the knowledge of the Force's true nature, led a daring assault on Byss. Their plan was audacious: infiltrate the planet, confront the Emperor, and sever his connection to the dark side nexus that fueled his power. The Jedi, supported by a coalition of New Republic forces and unlikely allies, launched a coordinated strike against the Imperial stronghold. As the battle raged, Luke and Leia penetrated the heart of Byss, facing insurmountable odds. The Emperor, seated on his dark throne, awaited them. His presence radiated pure malevolence, a manifestation of the dark side's unyielding power. The confrontation between the Skywalker twins and Palpatine was more than a physical clash; it was a struggle for the very soul of the galaxy. Palpatine's mastery of the dark side was unparalleled, but Luke and Leia had embraced a deeper understanding of the Force. They fought not as individuals but as a united front, their bond as siblings and Jedi amplifying their power. The battle tested their limits, pushing them to the brink of exhaustion. Yet, even as Palpatine unleashed his full fury, the light refused to be extinguished. The fate of the galaxy hung in the balance as the final moments of the conflict approached. Victory and defeat were separated by a razor's edge, and every choice carried profound consequences. In the face of overwhelming darkness, the light of hope endured, illuminating a path toward a brighter future, or so they hoped. The battle for Byss reached a crescendo as the New Republic's forces clashed with the Imperial Armada. Space erupted into chaos, with ships colliding in an inferno of laser fire and explosions. The sky above Byss was a tapestry of destruction, while below, the planet's surface trembled under the weight of battle. The galaxy watched in tense anticipation, aware that the outcome of this conflict would determine its fate. Luke and Leia, having fought their way through waves of Imperial troops and Sith acolytes, finally entered the Emperor's sanctum. The throne room on Byss was a cathedral of darkness, its design a grotesque reflection of the Emperor's twisted mind. The air was thick with the oppressive weight of the dark side, suffocating and corrupting. Palpatine sat upon his throne, his visage both ancient and unnervingly youthful. The clone body he inhabited pulsed with unnatural vitality, a vessel barely capable of containing his vast power. Skywalker's Palpatine intoned, his voice a chilling blend of mockery and disdain. "You come here to face your destiny." How predictable his eyes, burning with malevolence, flicked between Luke and Leia. "You will kneel before me, as all in this galaxy shall. The light has no place here." Without hesitation, Luke and Leia ignited their lightsabers, their blades casting a defiant glow against the darkness. "The Force is not yours to command," Palpatine Luke said, his voice steady despite the immense pressure of the Emperor's presence. "The galaxy will not bow to you again." Leia added, her tone equally resolute, "Your tyranny ends here." Palpatine rose from his throne, his movements eerily fluid. "Fools," he hissed. "The dark side is eternal. I have transcended death itself. You cannot defeat me with a wave of his hand." He unleashed a torrent of Sith lightning, the room crackling with raw power. Luke and Leia moved in perfect synchronicity, their lightsabers intercepting the bolts of lightning. The energy clash illuminated their faces, highlighting their determination. The Emperor's attacks were relentless, each strike a testament to his mastery of the dark side. Yet the twins pressed on, their connection to the Force unyielding. As the battle raged, the dark side nexus on Byss amplified Palpatine's strength, making him seemingly invincible. But Luke and Leia had a plan, one that required more than physical prowess. Through their journey, they had learned to harmonize with the Force in a way that balanced its light and dark aspects. This understanding allowed them to withstand the Emperor's onslaught while gradually weakening his connection to the Nexus. Palpatine, sensing the shift in the Force, grew increasingly agitated. His attacks became more ferocious, but they also grew desperate. The twins, using the Force as one, began to push back. Their combined strength created ripples in the dark side Nexus, destabilizing its power. Palpatine's clone body, already strained by the immense energy coursing through it, began to falter. "You cannot destroy me," Palpatine roared, his voice filled with rage and fear. "I am the dark side." Luke and Leia advanced, their lightsabers striking with precision. Each blow chipped away at the Emperor's defenses, both physical and metaphysical. The room shook violently as the dark energy of the Nexus fought to reassert itself. But the twins remained steadfast, their unity a beacon of hope. In a final act of defiance, Palpatine gathered his remaining strength, unleashing a storm of Force energy that threatened to consume everything. The blast threw Luke and Leia back, but they quickly regained their footing. Palpatine stood at the center of the chaos, his form flickering as the clone body began to disintegrate. Realizing that his time was running out, Palpatine attempted to transfer his essence into one of his remaining clone bodies. However, Luke and Leia, now fully attuned to the Force, intercepted the ritual. Together, they channeled the light side, creating a barrier that prevented Palpatine's essence from escaping. The Emperor let out a final, agonized scream as his spirit was consumed by the very darkness he had wielded. With Palpatine's destruction, the dark side Nexus on Byss collapsed. The oppressive energy that had permeated the planet dissipated, and the Emperor's fortress crumbled. The New Republic fleet, bolstered by the sudden shift in the battle, pressed their advantage, driving the Imperial forces into retreat. The galaxy was free from Palpatine's shadow, but the cost had been high. As the dust settled, Luke and Leia stood amidst the ruins, their lightsabers extinguished. The weight of their victory was palpable, but so was the toll it had taken. The galaxy had been spared from the Emperor's tyranny, but the scars of the conflict would linger for generations. The New Republic, though battered, emerged stronger and more united. The surviving Jedi, inspired by Luke and Leia's bravery, vowed to rebuild the Order with renewed purpose. The galaxy, while still rife with challenges, faced a future shaped by hope and resilience. Luke and Leia, the last of the Skywalkers, had fulfilled their destiny. They had confronted the greatest evil the galaxy had ever known and emerged victorious. Yet they knew their journey was far from over. The Force would continue to guide them, and the legacy of the Jedi would endure. In the end, the galaxy learned that even in its darkest moments, the light could prevail. Palpatine's reign was over, and with it, the Sith's grip on the galaxy had been broken. The path forward was uncertain, but it was one filled with the promise of peace and renewal. The Skywalkers had proven that no matter how great the darkness, the light would always find a way.